My name is Tori Townsend. I'm 34 years old. And on New Year's Eve, my family told me not to come, because I'd make everyone uncomfortable. So I spent it alone. A half-eaten pear, a laptop I wasn't allowed to open, and a quiet period my lawyers had drilled into me for weeks. Then at 12:01 a.m., my brother called. Not my mother, not my father, my brother. His voice was the voice of a man who had just watched a freight train leave the station without him. "What did you do?" "Dad saw the news. He's not breathing right." I told him to call an ambulance. I did not tell him I had been preparing for this moment for 7 years. Let me take you back 3 days. December 29th, 7:42 a.m., which is the hour my mother has always preferred for delivering bad news. Early enough you can't yet argue. Late enough she's already on her second coffee. The text read, "Honey, we've decided smaller is better this year. You'll just make everyone uncomfortable with all the stress." I read it 3 times. Stress was her code. It had been her code since I was 14. It meant we don't want Preston to feel small. It meant you have something. Please hold it somewhere else. For anyone who has been the oldest daughter of an oldest daughter, you already know the silence I'm talking about. It isn't silence in the room. It's the silence that comes after you've spoken, and the family reroutes. I typed back, "Got it. Happy New Year." I put the phone face down on the counter, not out of anger. Out of the old reflex, the one you develop when you've learned that your reaction is the thing your family will weaponize next. Then I opened my laptop. Not to work. Work was locked. I typed a long string of numbers into a browser tab and checked a record I had been checking every few weeks for 7 years. Still my name, only my name. I closed the tab. December 2017. I was 26. I had just quit Microsoft. 3 months of savings, a prototype on a second-hand ThinkPad, and a bad haircut. At the Christmas table, I tried to explain what I was building. A lightweight authentication layer that could run on hardware older than most of the cars my parents had ever owned. My father said, "That sounds like a lot." My mother said, "Bring something that pays before you bring something that explains." And Preston, my brother, sat across from me in a ski sweater, already 3 glasses in. He listened to about 4 of my sentences. Then he said, around a mouthful of turkey, "Yeah, like, have you thought about just going B2C? I could hook you up with guys I know." That was his contribution. Not a suggestion. Not a question. A hook. Delivered with cranberry sauce in his beard. My brother had 3 startups the way some men have 3 ex-wives. A meal kit company in 2014. An NF'd real estate platform in 2019. A whiskey subscription in 2022. Each round my parents pulled from their retirement. Each close they called it a learning experience. I drove back to my studio in Queens that night. Kitchen table with 1 short leg. A folded napkin wedged under it. I wrote a 5-page spec. Then I opened the Connecticut Bar Association directory and sent a cold email to a patent attorney named Marisol Ainsworth. Preston's entire contribution to my company was the phrase, "Have you thought about B2C?" said with his mouth full. I filed my patent in April 2018. 4 days before the IPO, my father called. It was the first time in 6 months. "Honey," he said, and I knew before another word came out. My father was a trust and estate lawyer. I knew the voice. It was the voice he used with clients asking hard questions about dead parents. "I want you to understand something about family before you sign anything with Wall Street. Preston has been there from the beginning. There's no formal contract between you two. There should be, and there should have been. These things tend to matter at a certain scale." I said, "I'll call you back." I wrote the time on a sticky note, 3:04 p.m. You always write down the time. My lawyer Marin picked up on the first ring, which she never does. That told me she had been waiting for my family to move for about as long as I had. She was at a ski lodge in Stowe. I could hear a fire behind her. A child objecting to a sweater. I gave her everything. The text from Mom, the call from Dad, the Christmas dinner, the word contract. She let me finish. Then she said, "Your patent was filed in April 2018. Your invention assignment was executed January 2018. Notarized. Filed with the company formation. Your founder agreement dates February 2019. Every funding round since has named you as sole founder and sole inventor. 12 rounds. 4 auditors. 2 insurers. I know they have nothing. But they can make noise," I said. "And noise before an IPO is expensive noise." "Then we do nothing," she said. "Not until they make it public. Then we respond in writing. Signed on letterhead. Never verbal. Never emotional. We are accountants of truth this week." I wrote that down too. That night, my mother sent her email. 11:14 p.m. subject line. "You have never understood what I sacrificed." 600 words. I counted them later. She started with her 2019 heart surgery. She ended with this: "If you do not share a piece of this company with your brother, I don't know how I will live with watching him hurt. You know I have a heart condition. You are choosing Wall Street over your own mother." I read it once. I read it twice. I sat still for 20 minutes. Then I got up and made tea. Tea is what you make when you don't want to be the woman you would be if you answered. I forwarded the email to Marin with one line. "Filed for the record." Marin sent back a thumbs-up emoji. For her, that was a love letter. New Year's Eve. My apartment. 14 floors up. A pear on a plate. A cup of Earl Grey going cold. My cousin Des called at 9 p.m. He was whispering, his youngest on his hip. "I'm sorry they're doing this again. Listen, Preston was drunk at Thanksgiving. He actually said this. Watch the news around New Year's. Things are going to get interesting for my little sister." I closed my eyes. He was out of money. Out of moves. He had a college friend at Bloomberg, and the phone rang at exactly 12:01 a.m. Preston's name on the screen. His voice was running, skipping air. "Dad just saw the news. He's not breathing right. The Bloomberg thing, it aired an hour ago. It was supposed to be just an angle. Dad lost it." I set the pear down. I told him to call 911. I hung up. Then I opened the laptop. Reading didn't break quiet period rules. I went to Bloomberg and typed my brother's name. Top clip. Year-end tech roundup. First aired 7:15 a.m., repeated at 11 p.m. The title card read, "The sister-brother duo behind Revenant Lattice's quiet rise." Under it, my brother's face. He was wearing the silk tie I had bought him for his 35th birthday. The year I still thought we were on the same team. I clicked play. 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Minute 1. My sister and I conceived the core architecture together. Minute 2. I've been quietly advising ever since. It's one of those classic sibling stories. Minute 2:30. We whiteboarded it at our family's Christmas dinner, 2017. Each sentence was shaped like a bell. Round. Resonant. Designed to sound like it came from inside the company. Then at 3 minutes and 41 seconds, he leaned forward and said the thing that would undo him. At Brookline Vale, where I'm VP of Strategy, we use a similar pattern in our partner compliance tool. I paused the video. My brother had just described internal architecture at his current employer on live national financial television. The kind of detail no VP of Strategy has clearance to name in public. It was in his ENDA. It was in his onboarding. It was in the non-disclosure he had signed 11 months ago with both initials and a full signature. I time-stamped the clip, 3:41, and emailed it to Marin. It was 12:08 a.m. She was already awake. 3 things, she said. 1. We prepare a correcting press release, timed 5:55 a.m., on the 2nd. 2. We do absolutely nothing before 8 a.m. on January 1st, because Preston's Brookline Vale problem will surface on its own by breakfast. 3. Honey. He quoted internal architecture on live TV. His general counsel is watching that tape right now. So is his crisis firm. They're drafting a termination letter at 1 a.m. on a holiday. I held the phone to my chest. I drank the tea I had forgotten at 10. It was cold. I drank it anyway. The news hit my phone at 5:53 a.m., exactly as Marin had said it would. TechCrunch headline: Brooklyn Vale VP Preston Townsend placed on administrative leave after televised disclosure raises ENDA concerns. 30 seconds later, a second screenshot from Des. My mother's Facebook post, 11:58 p.m. The night before, so proud of my son Preston for finally getting the recognition he deserves. Big things coming in 2026. 47 hearts. Sandra from Rotary. Patty from church. A woman named Judith who had typed, "He was always the golden one." I read them all. I didn't type. I screenshotted the whole thread and saved it in a folder I had been building for 7 years. The folder had a name, for the record. My mother called me crying at 7:04 and asked me to kill the press release. He's in the ER. The doctor said it's not his heart, but he's scared, Tori. You have to pull it. I'm glad Dad is okay, I said. I'll send flowers to his room. You are killing your father. Preston went on Bloomberg. I didn't. That's not me, that's him. You could fix it. You could say he misspoke. I can't lie on an 8K. Oh, don't hide behind forms. I'm not hiding, I'm filing. She hung up. I called Edible Arrangements. They were open on January 1st because people on January 1st have regrets. Fruit basket. Greenwich Hospital, room 314. $127 plus tip. Note card. Get well, Dad. Love, Tori. The woman on the phone asked, "Would you like a ribbon?" Blue, please. Any particular blue? Just blue. Like a sky. People think you can't love your parents and still disobey them. They've been told obedience is the price of love. In my experience, it's usually the opposite. At 9:30 a.m. On January 2nd, the bell rang. Confetti, blue and silver. The company's colors, because Marin had insisted. The CNBC anchor said my name with the same rhythm she used for everyone else. That was the thing that almost made me cry. I stood on the podium with Marin on my left, Mari on my right. 3 of my earliest employees behind me. Nico, the first engineer, who came on at a 40% pay cut because he had said yes to a bad chair and a vision. Claire, who ran our first demo for an insurance company that laughed at us and then called us back 6 months later. MT, who kept our servers running for 2 years in a closet before we moved to Chelsea. Tori Townsend, sole founder and CEO of Revenant Lattice, a cybersecurity AI firm, priced its IPO last night at $18 a share. Valuation, $1.9 billion. Somewhere in a Greenwich living room, my mother stood up and walked out. My father stayed in the chair. He watched the whole 5-minute segment without blinking. When it was over, he put down his coffee and put his hands in his lap. That, too, was a kind of answer. By 12:40 p.m., the Wall Street Journal ran 4 paragraphs on my brother's career ending. His name in the first paragraph. Revenant Lattice in the second, with the word unrelated attached. 3 sentences of context. 1 sentence of, Mr. Townsend did not respond to requests for comment. His LinkedIn disappeared 90 minutes later. 3,412 connections to 0. The profile picture, the one with the tie I had bought him, went last. At 1:00 p.m., Celeste filed for divorce. She had the papers drafted in November. I drove to Greenwich that evening and sat in my car for 28 minutes before going in. That was, I think, the most boring act of courage of my life. I left 3 documents on the dining room table. A notarized copy of my patent, cover page visible. A printout of the press release. A letter from Marin's firm, addressed to my parents jointly, requesting they refrain from mentioning me or the company in any media for the next 18 months. Not a gag order. A polite, notarized request. My mother came in from the kitchen. "What are you doing here?" "I came to tell you face to face before the paperwork arrived. You're so cold. I've been warm for 34 years. I'm taking today off." I walked out. I did not slam the door. I did not need to. 3 months later, my mother called. Her voice was thinner than it had been, tired in a way that wasn't staged. You were right about your brother. I'm not apologizing. I'm calling to say I was right about one thing too. You are not like anyone in this family. I am grateful to you for noticing, I said. That's not a compliment. I know. Silence. About 10 seconds. Then one more thing. Your father reads your SEC filings every quarter. He doesn't tell anyone. He reads them. 6 months after that, a letter arrived. Greenwich return address. My father's handwriting. The handwriting of a man who bills by the minute. 3 lines. On yellow legal pad paper. The patent is in your name. The firm is yours. I was wrong about the shape of you. I hope that is a starting place. You do not need to write back. Signed, Reese Townsend, Esquire. Not Dad. Not Ree. I read it at the kitchen counter. I put it on a shelf. The shelf where I kept the small stack of things I would not throw away and would not look at often. 48 hours later, I sent another fruit basket. Note card, noted. Love, Tori. That was the truest thing I had said to him in a decade. If you ask me what I learned, and people do, more than I expected, I always say the same thing. Dignity is not a style. Dignity is a filing system. Dignity is a signed assignment agreement on the day the employee starts. Dignity is a patent filed before the patent is needed. Dignity is a folder called for the record. Dignity is a notarized copy placed on a dining room table quietly while your mother stands in the kitchen doorway. Dignity is the boring thing. It is the thing nobody applauds. It is done before the story starts. 1 year after the IPO, I hosted New Year's Eve. 7 people. Roast chicken. Nothing televised. Marin, Mari, Des and Rachel. Nico. And Sam, the junior engineer from Pittsburgh. 24 years old. 3 months out of college. I had asked if he had plans, and he said just my roommate. I couldn't leave him to a roommate on New Year's. At 11:58, we stood up. Champagne, the bottle I had kept from the IPO morning, untouched in the back of the refrigerator for 12 months. Marin raised her glass to Rule 1. Everyone laughed. Sam laughed too, catching the reference 3 seconds late, but catching it. He was going to be fine. Midnight came. Fireworks over the Hudson. Small ones. Far. I pulled out my phone at 12:01. Nothing. No Preston. No Dad. No Mom. I turned it off. I put it in a drawer. I went back to the table. The chicken was still warm. There is a woman watching this right now who has been the warm one for 30 years. Whose family has been telling her she is too much, or too cold, or too sensitive, depending on the afternoon. There is a woman who has been preparing quietly to stop being uninvited from her own life. If that is you, sign your paperwork. File your patent, whatever your patent is. Put the documents in a folder called for the record. Hire the boring lawyer. Tell no one. When the call comes, and it will, you will not shake. And let me leave you with this. One thing. The word uncomfortable. It is a word people use when they have lost a privilege and cannot yet say so out loud. You are not the discomfort. You are the end of a long, quiet arrangement. That's the story. That's all of it. I'll put the kettle on.